Every technology ever built is solving exactly one problem. It's not cancer, it's not climate change, it's not reducing the poverty gap. The gap between wanting something and having it is the only thing we're trying to solve for. That's it. That's the whole project. That's hundreds of thousands of years of human ingenuity underneath all of it. And it's the same fantasy. You want to be able to think a thing, and then the thing exists. No waiting, no effort, no time between the mind and the world. We want to feel like gods. And we're actually getting very close. Let me show you what I mean with the most ridiculous example I know. It's the video doorbell. At some point, and I want you to really picture this person, a human being was sitting on a couch and they thought, the main problem in my life right now is that I have to physically get up and walk to the front door to get my Uber Eats. 15 seconds of friction. That's unacceptable. And so we invented a camera, wired it to a satellite, routed it to a signal through a server farm, delivered a live feed to a glass rectangle in your pocket. We deployed $1 billion infrastructure to save you a trip across the living room. That's actually not just laziness. That is a philosophical statement. We will spend any amount of money, any amount of engineering complexity to feel, even briefly and somewhat pointlessly, like we've bent physical reality. Because that's the feeling we're chasing. That's the drug we all want. Now, scale that up. As an example, the telephone compressed 2 weeks into milliseconds. A letter from London to New York on a ship once took 14 days. Now it takes less time to send a message than a blink. You still feel vaguely annoyed if someone doesn't reply within the hour, but we've compressed 2 weeks into a very short amount of time. And yeah, we're still impatient, and I don't think that's ingratitude. I think that's evidence. We don't want less waiting. We didn't ever want any waiting. We've always wanted to feel like gods. And now, with technology where it is and AI, we are actually pretty close, and maybe even closer than we've ever been. A research project that once took days or weeks now takes minutes. First drafts that used to require a certain amount of effort. And really, this is the kind of productive friction that actually shaped the way you think. Now that only requires a good prompt and maybe a few sips of coffee. You think the thing appears. And for a brief moment, you are the person who just said, let there be light. You didn't have to wire anything up. And here's the difficult part about that. The thing we're compressing isn't just time. It's the experience of being in between the compression of time. Okay, let me ask you something. Is crossing the line at a marathon worth it if no training or effort is required? If you are enjoying the view from a mountaintop, is it remarkable if you didn't have to hike to the top to get there? If you're in a relationship, is that relationship meaningful if you never had to wade through some of the awkward, uncomfortable, and slow work of actually getting to know the other person? I don't believe that friction is just inefficiency. It's the point of the relationship. It's the point of building the business. It's the point of running a marathon. And most of those things actually matter. The friction really is core to the experience. You don't climb the mountain just to see the view. You climb it because someone wants to climb, to experience what it means to train for that, to prepare for that, to do something that others aren't willing to do. It turns you into a different person. It turns you into somebody who has a relationship with yourself, with character, with discomfort, with effort, with struggle. And that capacity allows you to change who you are. That transformation is who you become. You remove the time and you also remove the transformation. You collapse the time and you remove the opportunity to grow. Now, I work through Second Harvest with men and women who are in midlife. These are all successful people, by any of the conventional standards. They have built things, they have executed well, they have raised families, they've supported their communities, and they've also accumulated the outcomes that culture told them to accumulate. And a lot of them arrive at whatever it is, 40 or 50 or 60, feeling a particular kind of empty that their efficiency and productivity habits cannot solve. Because their emptiness wasn't created by a lack of results. It was created by a surplus of them. They arrived at these maybe a little too easily, a little too cleanly. They got to the top of the mountain by helicopter. And they're standing there trying to figure out why the view doesn't feel earned. Real midlife, not the cliched version, but the real reckoning is often an extended encounter with something that cannot be rushed. You cannot optimize yourself through grief, through loss. You cannot prompt your way into clarity about what it actually means and to be alive and what you want from the next 30 years. You cannot use software to just shortcut the process of becoming someone different. It is a process of becoming. It's the process itself. It's not the outcome that you seek. And the only way through is through. And through takes time. And sitting inside the time without engineering some optimization around it is the work. That's all there is. So this God machine, as I call it, it's real. The thing that we have created to compress time, it's real. To optimize, to take everything and make it less effortful. And sure, it's extraordinary and it's probably only going to get more powerful. The compression of time, though, isn't helping. It doesn't slow you down. It's actually the work that's needed. That gap between wanting and having, sure, it'll keep closing, but yeah, is it worth it? Is it worth having nothing just because you wanted it? So, because meaning has never really been a function of speed, it's always been a function of participation. I think we should show up for that. We should be showing up inside the difficulty rather than trying to find a route around it. The telephone made us more impatient, not less impatient. AI is making us more impatient, not less. The doorbell compressed 15 seconds. Yeah, we called it magic. The next thing will compress something else, and then we'll feel more omnipotent for a moment, and then we'll recalibrate and we'll feel more impatient for that. And we'll want more. And that's the part that needs to tell you something. The feeling of omnipotence has a very short half-life. What doesn't fade, what keeps mattering, is what you carried on the difficult journey. It's the struggle, it's the story, and who you became in that struggle, in that character building, carrying of the weight. I don't think that's a gap you need to engineer out. And if you're wise, you won't try. Instead, you'll lean into the moment in between your thoughts and the outcomes. You'll save that slow moment in those special relationships, and when you're building something meaningful, you'll wallow a little bit longer in your creative process, and you'll embrace a little slowness. If you like what you heard here and you want more, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you.